Oh, it's not pulling up. I have nothing.
Let's see, my people are waving. Okay, that's not good.
It's not letting me pull the video up. It's like no options.
It's posted, right?
Yeah.
What's up? What's happening now? What's good? No, I was just talking about bad search warrants. Bad search warrants. This is Cop Talk today with your boy. Before you just go get one and you kick in the door. The last video that I just posted, it showed information about a search warrant, and the search warrant was just bad. Taxpayers are spending millions and millions of dollars for bad policing. I've done search warrant. Detective here, he's done search warrants. Share your views on what you see now when it comes down to these bad search warrants, because I'm looking at search warrants and how we did it, and I'm like, how is this even possible if you corroborating all the information that you receive? I've never done a bad search warrant. I've done search warrants, but it entails a whole lot of work. Now, if you cut corners, I can see the problems that they are having with these search warrants if they're cutting corners. But if you're doing search warrants from A to Z like you're supposed to, I don't see these mistakes happening like they're happening. I don't understand that. Go ahead, tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, when you do a search warrant, right? You want to observe your subject. First of all, you want to make sure, why is he going in there? Is he going in to buy drugs? Is he going to purchase weapons? Whatever, right? You're going to search him completely. Sometimes you might have him hired, depending on the situation, but you want to make sure that you're not going in with any type of weapons or any drugs. Instead, remember, you're swearing oath. You're under oath to this document, right? You are actually going to observe this individual. You're going to watch him go into a location, and he's going to purchase whatever that contraband or illegal item is. You're going to search him, and you're going to cover that item, and you're going to mark it. You're going to know exactly the location that he went in. Your research. You know the address, the color of the house. You're going to know where it is in proximity. You're going to have everything. You're going to know. And a good officer, detective, or investigator, law enforcement officer, he's going to go and he's going to know the exit of the property, how many windows. He's going to tell you the color, the chimney, as detailed as he wants, because this is a problem. Knocking into the wrong address is a serious problem, and this should not happen. It should not happen.
Yeah, so what do you think? Like, how is these guys like they're coming up wrong time after time? And when people ask me like, how can that happen? I'm like, search warrants really are almost foolproof if you follow it to the T. Like these wrong doors, you kicking in and it's the total wrong house and the person's not there. Something is majorly wrong. Like I look at when we had search warrants, it's so technical. It requires a lot of research. It requires surveillance. It requires, people think, because you have a confidential informant, you got to understand, most confidential informants are working off charges. So you can't believe them just like that. You can't just believe them. So you can have a confidential informant. You're searching him before he goes in. You're searching him when he comes out. You're making sure
Mhm.
they're getting just give you wrong drugs or anything wrong that you are looking for. There's a whole process that goes with a search warrant. So when I see these search warrants just going wrong, there's something major wrong with these, like the way they're executing these warrants. Like it's almost almost foolproof if you do exactly what you're supposed to do. So when I see these incidents, I go, somebody cut a lot of corners when we start talking about search warrants. Was surveillance done? Did you search the informant? Is the information you're getting, did you cooperate it, or you just went based on it? Because you're dealing normally with people in the streets who are working off charges, right?
Right.
They'll stay and do anything to get a charge off. They'll give you information that's incorrect, but it's up to you to cooperate that information. So I see these search warrants, like you've seen the video. What do you think time and time again is happening with these search warrants? What do you think is coming up? Why these guys are coming up short? Taxpayers are spending billions of dollars.
Real quick, Joe, to get back to what you're saying, that you want to know who is even occupying that house. I don't know if it's public housing, if it's a private house, mortgage deed, whatever. You want to know who's occupying that house. You want to know, are there weapons there? You want to know elderly. Sometimes they have an ambulance stage because that could be traumatic to somebody.
Yeah.
You want to know if there are pit bulls in that house. You want to know everything, right? And the problem that I see with the video that we just looked at, and and just listening and watching about these situations with these bad warrants, is that the officers are not doing the legwork. They're not doing their due diligence or their investigation. They're not put your eyeball on it. Some of them can even video record, but they're not doing the legwork. They're just hearing from word of mouth from somebody like you said who's going to work off charges and do anything. And next thing you know, you're going to, based on the information you receive, you're going to hit a house. It's the wrong house. And as a result, people die from this is how serious it is. And in addition, it goes back to, you want to solve this problem. For one, we need the accountability of the officer who's obtained that warrant. But if we have that officer, right, who has his own liability insurance that is in your book, it'll explain exactly. Just like a medical professional or the lawyer, attorneys, they have to have their, practice to practice. They have to have their own liability insurance. Law enforcement. So if you're doing something, you pay out of your insurance. And not the citizens, not the taxpayers. And you know what? If it's bad and you have a bad record, you will force yourself out of law enforcement.
Yeah, I like that idea, and that's why I mentioned that as a proposal to stop all this bad policing. Because right now, the taxpayers is picking up the checks. It's in the billions. Taxpayers is picking up. You got everyday hardworking people paying taxes, and their taxes is going for bad policing. A guy who doesn't want to put the legwork in to get a search warrant. You got to be able to get it right. This is making no sense. Like, you made a good point. It's hard 100% to know who's in the house, but if you are doing a surveillance before the search warrant, right, you have a pretty good idea. Like you said, whether it's children in there, whether it's elderly, whether it's dogs that you got to encounter. If you're doing the search warrant correctly and you're putting the legwork in, you pretty much know who is going to be, not 100%. You might be off here and there by a person or two, but if you're doing the legwork right, you know the layout of the location, you know who's inside the house, you know who's in there, but that requires a whole lot of legwork. So when I see these search warrants, and it's time and time again, they don't know they encountered a dog. They don't know that it's children there. They it's something wrong with those pictures. We've done search warrants. I've done, and it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of legwork.
It is.
So
it is.
But we got it right. It just never was wrong. Now, the thing that might have changed when you execute the search warrants that we've done, the amount of drugs that was in a location. Because the CI is trying to work off a charge, so he's telling you, oh, it's 5 keys, and you go in there, it might be a key. Like, you know what I'm saying? They trying to entice you with a big recovery of large amounts of drugs. So that changes a lot. That's not real consistent. I've in my past experiences, you go in, it's not as big as the informant said. You know, he go in and he purchases a little bit, he comes out, he gives it to you, you get it tested, you weigh the whole nine, you keep eyes on it, you see who coming and going, you get the blueprint of who's, you know, of the location of how we're going to enter the residence. Like, it's just, it's crazy. It is so crazy to see that these search warrants is just so bogus.
What about if it's not?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting that you're saying that there's been times where we done search warrants, and I've been a part of those search warrants, and we try to have an actual, like you said, you said earlier, a blueprint. You want to know how many locks are on the front door, how many on the rear door, how many steps you got to go up.
Right.
Is the open? Is there a vestibule? You have to go up to the left, to the right.
Right.
You're worried about those bathrooms. Are they upstairs and downstairs? How many bathrooms? Because they love to flush, you know, contraband and substances in toilets.
Right.
So a good investigator, like you said, it's going to take legwork. But if it's done properly, you'll know this information, and you know what? It's done right. You can go home and sleep good, and you know that you hit the right location.
Right. Exactly. I told you guys I wasn't going to be long, so for the next 5-10 minutes, we're going to take some questions. If you want to come on live and join us, ask a question, I will let you ask the question, but just make sure you keep it respectful. And you got a question?
I have a question.
We got a question in the background.
No, you guys keep talking about drug transactions.
Right.
What about like the lady in Chicago? They busted in her house and she was naked based on a phone call and saying the person lived here. Because there's been a situation, Amir Locke, who they said, you know, the people he's associated with live in these apartments.
Right.
How do you verify all that information when it's not drug related? Or the one where Chicago, again, where they busted looking for puppies and they destroyed the people's house, bringing up ceilings.
Mm-hmm. Now, what you're talking about is different from what we're talking about.
Oh, this is no knock warrants.
No, not even no knock warrants. What you're going to look for. If you're going to look for drugs and guns, that's what I've done for a long time. So the search warrants that I'm strictly familiar with is that type of search warrant where you go in and you're trying to recover something. You're talking about looking for a wanted subject. I was on a federal task force. It's a little different when you're looking for a body, an individual, than actual illegal drugs or guns inside of a residence. But, you know, someone said, you know, why don't they wait outside? If you're looking for an actual subject, yes, you put surveillance on a house and you can wait outside. You can. But if that time expires, then you might have to go inside to obtain that person. You always want to go in when the person's asleep, because the whole mindset is to catch them while you sleep. You're less likely to get resistance when somebody's sleeping when you go inside.
What does it mean when the time expired? If the time expired,
no,
like, get another warrant?
No, not on the warrant, but the time. Say if I'm sitting on your house, right? You a warrant, you want it, right? For whatever it is that you want it for, right? You're whatever it is, right? You got a warrant on file, whether it's
Joe
kingpin or
to make
what?
To make it easy for Marie, use that example with you and I with NYPD, and we had the subject in the house, and I was in the back, you was in the front, and we were looking for him with warrants. You remember that?
Right. Yeah, we had a guy, right, who was in a stolen vehicle, right? He smashed into this lady and badly injured this lady, but he got out and ran. He had warrants on him before he hit the person, and now he got additional warrants on him. Well, you had a task force that kept catching search warrants, and just every time they get information that he was at a location, they will go get a search warrant and hit the house. He was a step ahead of them, because every time he hit a house, he wasn't there, but he was at that house at that time. But when the neighborhood said, yo, the cops was here, he would just leave and go to another state. He would leave and go to another state. They kept doing that. So when we got asked to join the task force and help with the apprehension of the individual, we did some legwork about where he possibly could be. It was a girlfriend. We tracked the son, where the son go to school. It was a lot of legwork. So we was kind of the lead in that investigation. So what we did was we set up. Oh, thanks, Lisa, for the badges. I appreciate that. Really, I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the platform. So we set up surveillance on this particular house. right? Where the subject, we just had information that his girlfriend lived there. We didn't even know that he was there at the time. But the guys that we was with, they just kept wanting to hit it. But we was lead on that. So we went and set up until early. We was there later on that evening until the next day. He was in one vehicle. I was in another. I was covering the front. He was covering the back. And we just waited and waited. Surveillance, waited. Now, he got units with him from the task force. I got units with me. But we was the lead investigators in that unit. And these guys were so impatient. They kept saying, let's just go hit the house. Let's just go hit the house. I said, dude, if we hit the house and he's not there, he's going to be in a win. We don't even know if he's there or not. Let's just wait. We waited all night, sat on his house. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. We had eyes on the front door. Somebody said the door's opening up. The subject was coming out of the house with a little kid. He was taking his kid to the bus stop. So as his team approached from the rear, I approached from the front. I told an officer as I was approaching him, I said, get the kid. We're not going to, because we could see his hands. I don't want to have this big confrontation in front of him with this little girl that he was walking to the bus station. So as I approached, the team approached from the back. He saw us coming. I put my shield up because he was all in plain clothes. We had raid jackets on that said police. But I put my shield up and I said, yo, police, just chill. We're going to make this peaceful. You got warrants. You already know why we're here. And I told one of the officers, I said, yo, take the little girl. And then another officer ran, I was like, start yelling, get on the ground, get on the ground. He was like, yo, I'm not getting on the ground. And the officer kept yelling at him to get on the ground. I was like, yo, chill, I got this. I said, yo, turn around, my man. I said, put your hands to the lower end of your back. He turned around, I cuffed him, I patted him down, and without incident, it was nobody got hurt. Everything worked out according to how it should have worked out. But I'm saying all I have to say is that we took our time. We sat on the house. We sat on the house all night. I mean, literally all night. We got there, 6 p.m. We didn't apprehend him until 8 in the morning when he was going to walk the kid to the bus. So if you take the time and do this job right, you'll have less injuries. You'll have less accidents. And when somebody doesn't always get on the ground for you as the officer, there's other ways to take someone into custody without making them automatically get on the ground. It's all about a safety issue, a safety factor. The safest place is to prone somebody out on the ground, no doubt. But if you can't, there's other ways to still make yourself safe and get the person into custody. This dude was like, yo, I got a $600 pair of pants on. I'm not getting on the ground. He was willing to comply. I could see he's willing to comply. So I met him, compromised with him. I said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. I see his hands, they was free. I was able to cuff him. And we literally just walked off. We took the girl. We went back to the house. The girlfriend was there. That was her mother. I was like, he's under arrest. I just want to make sure she gets to school. She's on the bus. She probably missed the bus. Do you need me to take her to school? She was like, no. I was like, okay, here's the kid. We got our subject. No problems. But the other officers that we was with, they were so amped. They just wanted to hit the house. Because we was lead on that, I controlled that. I was like, nah, we're going to chill. We're going to just ride this out. We're going to wait. This is what a part of this job entails. So what happens is you got guys that they just want to get to the kicking of the door part. They want to get the serving the warrant, but there's legwork before you get to that part to make sure that your warrant is legit, to make sure you're hitting the right house. You're going after the right person. So I just needed to jump on here and say that real quick because a lot of people don't want search warrants. The tools that officers are using, when they get abused, we see all these problems. Instead of holding those dudes accountable and just really just going right at the dudes who's abusing those warrants, we trying to take away. That I think that's not the answer to that. What I think is when you got dudes who don't put the work in, you took this job, a lot of it is a lot of paperwork. Cops don't like paperwork, but that's a part of the job. A lot of it is a lot of sitting and doing surveillance depending on the squad you're on. If you got to sit and do a surveillance all night, then that's what you got to do. A lot of people want to slide past that, and that's why you have these bad issues with these warrants. You said you had a question?
What about these judges that are signing off on these warrants? Shouldn't they be held accountable at some point?
Well, if an officer gives the judge probable cause and he lied about it, the judge is not going to know whether the officer lied about it. You know, so you can't, you know, it'd be nice. But if a judge sees that he keeps getting bad warrants, right? Keeps signing off for bad warrants, he needs to pay attention to the officer. He needs to go, yo, last few warrants I signed, like, what are you doing out there? I can't keep signing warrants and you keep coming up empty-handed. So there's red flags that an officer or judge can see with particular officers. You know, I'm seeing a special where they linked this one judge to like 40-something bad search warrants. That's telling me like this judge is a part of the problem. You know, as a judge, you signing bad warrants. You 40-something of them, that definitely should draw red flags. Like that's a red flag. Like there's a problem. So when you have that problem, then you definitely need to look into that. Yes, red flags. Thanks. Any other questions? I just want to jump on here and discuss the bad search warrants that we coming in day and out. You know, search warrants, cops are needed. We just need the right cops. These tools that are given to law enforcement to actually fight crime, because we do have some people out here that need this type of attention with the police. Not everybody, but there is a small group of people that need to be in jail. They go out here doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So we need somebody to police them. So the people that we design or we uphold, we swear in to police them, they need to do the job correctly. So what I'm saying is, let's hold those that's not doing the job correctly, let's hold them accountable. We hold them, I guarantee you, if you hold them accountable, you won't have people taking shortcuts. I'm 100% sure no cop wants to get fired, be prosecuted, and go to jail. No cop wants to do that. But if you're not doing the job right and that happens, that sends a strong message to everybody else. Yo, stop taking shortcuts. If you got to sit out in front of somebody's house from 6 to 8, like I did, to make sure it works correctly, then that's what you do. The surveillance is a part of the job. Let's see if I got anybody here that want to have a question, want to join real quick before I let y'all go and enjoy your Sunday. Anybody want to join and ask a question? I'll chop it up for you for the next 10 minutes to see. Solo, thanks. She said she agreed. Thanks for the roses, right? Is it roses?
Badges?
Yeah, the badges. Thanks for the badges. Thanks for the badges. I appreciate that. And like, you know, we're trying to do that monthly food drive again. So I'm gonna need y'all help. It's a blessing that we can get on here. We can have this conversation. Everybody can have meals. You got a lot of homeless people out here that don't have that same blessing. So make sure you support me by blessing them. So I can extend the blessing because I'm not in the M's, but I give what I can. And when you give me, I give even more blessings. So make sure y'all really donate so I can give bigger blessings than I'm giving. Let's see. The website's on the link.
No, the link.
Go to
police.
Anybody got a question before we sign off? Oh, you are not the bachelor. Yo, Liz, shut up, yo. Anybody got any questions? Anybody got any comments? Anybody got any idea? What do you suggest? Anybody got anything to say before we sign off? I appreciate the support. Make sure y'all sign in on YouTube account, Police Brutality Matters. Make sure you subscribe, share, and like. What do you say?
I said our new show.
Oh yeah, we're doing new shows too on YouTube. So this more is a police format. I'm doing more of civilians. We the people's pissed off. I'll invite different guests. We have different topics. Detective Ested said roses. Yo, what happened to your bootleg phone, man? You thought that had been part of this conversation. But make sure you continually support the platform. I appreciate you guys. If you don't have any questions, then I'm gonna be logging off. Anybody got any questions before I log off again? I got a spot now on Court TV every Monday, so make sure y'all tune in and watch it. I don't get to pick the videos, but y'all know that I give an unbiased assessment. So they get a lot of good cop videos. So if you want to see me giving assessments on good policing, turn to Court TV every Monday at 9:30. I'm on there Eastern time. So check out me on Court TV every Monday. And if you guys ain't got, you may have a question. Do you agree with no-knock warrants? Do you agree with no-knock warrants? And the reason why, let me tell you something. if no-knock warrants is used correctly, they're real effective. But because they're not being used correctly, then I don't agree with them. Like, we've seen no-knock warrants go bad. And I hate the fact that they're not doing what they're supposed to do with these no-knock warrants. I've used no-knock warrants. I've never had these problems. But like I said earlier in our conversation, I put the legwork in to make sure that when I'm serving a no-knock warrant, it doesn't go bad. If you do it correctly, if you dot all your I's, cross all your T's, 9 times out of 10 it's going to go right. I've never seen it go wrong, and I've done it. I don't have these problems that I see these officers having. And when I see these problems, I go, hold up, there was no surveillance done. It couldn't have been. How do they not know that these people had a bunch of children? How do they not know that if you're sitting on a house for any length of time, you're going to know who's coming and going? Like, if you sit in an informant, he's supposed to be able to tell you who's in that, who's not. Like, a lot's supposed to happen when you go get a warrant. And when I see these situations, I'm like, they're not putting the legwork. It's impossible. How you hit the wrong door? Like, how do you hit the wrong door? If you're sitting on the door that you're supposed to hit prior to getting the search warrant, it's impossible for you to hit the wrong door. Like, so I don't, I keep hearing they got the information from an informant, right? You don't go based on a confidential informant. You don't base all your information on that. There's a lot more. You got to corroborate that information. You got to do a surveillance. You got to see the traffic coming and going. If my team is sitting on your house right now and I plan to do a search warrant tomorrow, right? I got a team there right now doing an observation report, documenting who's coming and who's going. There's a whole format on how these search warrants should be done. I did it that way. You have a team sit on it tomorrow. You meet up and doing the search warrant. Yeah, this is what's going on. This activity. This person. You see that person. Yeah, the team assists you in going to the search warrant. If this house has been watched prior to that, you already know who's coming and going. How am I going to get that house wrong if I've been sitting on it prior before I do the search warrant? But like, it's just crazy. You got a lot of tools that are really effective, but they're not being used correctly. So if the tool's not used correctly, then you gotta get rid of the tool. You gotta throw it out. Okay. Too many innocent people are getting killed and hurt because it's not being done correctly. And I hate that, because it's really a good tool. But if you can't get it right, and we're not gonna hold these dudes accountable, because only way to change the game is you hold them accountable. You go give a judge a bad information on a bad warrant, and then you come back and it's bad. It's like, oh well, we got a bad. No, you did not dot your I's and cross your T's. 100%, you did not dot your I's and cross your T's. So you need to be held accountable. If you are scared to do search warrants because you don't want to put the legwork in, you shouldn't be in a unit to where y'all doing search warrants. Point blank, period. Do you think cops should be held personally accountable for the mistakes they make? Now, maybe something like a 3-strike system just seems funky to me, that the heavy consequences cops can cause on people's lives can go unpunished. Yes, you are 100% right. And now, it's the difference between a mistake and negligence, right? So I think definitely they should be held accountable on negligence. A mistake is different. If I'm not doing the legwork and I go and get a search warrant, that's negligence. That's not a mistake. You got information that you didn't corroborate. You didn't sit on the house before you entered it. That's not a mistake. You should be penalized to the fullest, because you just broke into somebody's house, and don't let nobody get injured on a bad search warrant. That means somebody got killed, somebody got injured, somebody's house is all shambles, damaged. And that's a mistake. That's not a mistake. You're just being negligent. You don't care about the people's houses that you're going into. You don't care about the job enough to know that, I have to make sure. That would have been the worst thing that I could have done, is go in somebody's crib that was wrong. Like, I'm terrorizing the whole family. Like, I would never want to do that. Like, to prevent that from happening, you do the legwork. I had a really good trainer, bro. I had a really good. He was a white dude, Mako. He was excellent. He used to always say, don't be like a lot of these guys, bro, where they so in a rush. You make a lot of mistakes when you're so in a rush. They want to just go kick in. No, take your time. Get it right. You don't want to be that guy who kicked in the wrong door. These guys are kicking in the wrong doors because they're not doing the legwork. He said, You just got to get it right one time, right? The criminal has to get it right all the time. So don't be so quick to, because somebody, if you don't got them right, then don't worry about it. You'll get another shot at this. I think I had like one of the best FTOs, like, who taught me the game when it comes down to, yo, make sure you get it right. Don't be so gun-ho like a lot of these cops out here that they feel like this is the last time they're gonna. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. If you don't got it right, that's fine. You'll get them next time. And that's what he instilled in me. And the dude was an official dude. It was a white dude. He really understood the streets. He understood policing. Like, he was a good dude, man. I really appreciate the knowledge and everything I learned from him, because not a lot of cops operated like him. Like, he's like, yo, when we get him right. That was his thing.
We have a question on YouTube. How many cops you know that have failed, that have lied on their report? Have you ever lied on the report?
Have I ever lied? I never lied on a report. There's no need to lie on a report if you're doing everything you're supposed to do. You only have to lie when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So that question came from YouTube, because I'm streaming on both platforms. So when you start have to lie and cut corners, it's because you're not doing something right. And that's another thing he told me. He says, if you even got to use force, don't never be afraid to use force. They allow us to use force. You just better make sure that the force you use, right, is consistent with the policy and training. That's what he told, like, don't be afraid of that. I remember one time I had to grab a dude and take him to the ground, and there was other cops around. He was like, other cops ran, he's like, yo, they recording. I was like, so what? Let them record. I was like, what I just did, you'll find in the training manual. Like, I armbarred him, took him to the ground, cuffed him, picked him up, searched him, put him in a wagon. Like, I wasn't cuffing him and start thumping on him. It wasn't personal. I didn't care that he was talking trash. I didn't hurt my feelings. Like, I didn't care about that. But, you know, cops are so like, oh, they recorded. Yo, let them record. Like, I was taught, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, then the department can't even come down on you. Because the department said, yo, why you threw him to the ground? I armbarred him. Look at your use of force policy. The policy says you get this type of resistance, you can apply this type of force. Yeah, there's nothing else you can. I was like, I don't care about a camera. Right there, you could turn to a manual and see what I just did. He resisted like this. I applied this type of force to that resistance. That's what the training tells you to do.
Okay, another question. Have you ever arrested a bad cop?
No, and a lot of people, and I'm glad that was a good question, whoever said that. The mechanics in the police department, you as the officer, if you see a bad cop do a bad thing, you have to report it. You have no authority to arrest a bad cop. They have a whole internal affairs division, and I think this is game, but this is a part of the system. You can't just go and say, oh, I see you hit somebody in handcuffs, I'm going to lock you up for an assault because the guy was in cuffs. You cannot do that as a cop. They have a whole protocol on, if you see an officer do something wrong, you got to report it. You have to testify. You got to make a report. An investigation has to occur. You can't just go put cuffs on a guy because you see him hit somebody in cuffs. The system is not designed for you to do that. I've never seen that done, and that's exactly why. And that's per department. Each department is a little different, but just being a union guy, I've always seen when you had to, I guess, show some type of enforcement against another police officer, you always done that through reports. You have to report it. It has to be an investigation. So no, I've never put handcuffs on another cop, but I have reported another cop, and the cop was removed from he actually quit before the investigation was over with. I have done that. Got retaliated on for doing that too. That's just another live. Who should hold the cops accountable? It seems like it always goes to cops. Yeah, you're 100% right. Me personally, I think it should be an outside agency. I don't think it should be the police investigating itself. I'm a strong believer that the guys who are investigating once worked with the guys who they are investigating. Whether it's a Christmas party, you come in contact with those guys. And can somebody be impartial and conduct an investigation? Yeah, I'm quite sure they can, right? But the reality of it, when you have a relationship with another person, there is a bias to that. There is like I know a guy who went into internal affairs. He got transferred. He went over there. Now, If I seen him during an investigation, we spoke, and we have a relationship. I want the person conducting that relationship does not know either party. I would like to see that. I don't want the person who's investigating to know either party. And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna know the party. Or is that department? So it's always a problem when you got your own investigating your own. I would love, I would love to see a federal task force combined with feds and state officers, because a lot of times with these investigations, and you'll see it, oh, the state has investigated, now they're asking the federal government to come and investigate it. And the reason why is you got federal violations and you got state crimes. So, but if you had a task force that you had officers that was from the state and feds, and they operated together, but the state officer takes the lead on the state violations, and the federal officer take the lead on, but they're actually working together. That would take care of all that. You gotta wait till that investigation's over with, and then you gotta request the federal government to come in, and then they gotta do their violation. Just like with the George Floyd, you see the investigations. You got one investigation coming behind. Nah, you should have them all. Have one task force that can combine. Like, I was on a federal task force, right? The feds couldn't do certain things within our city because it was a local crime. It was a state crime. But when it came down to a federal violation, that they handled that. So if you take those two and you put them on the same team, you cover both, and it's an impartial body that doesn't know the officers, the local officers. So I think it should be a different investigative unit that investigate officers. Fitz, right? Colleen Fitz, thanks, bro. I appreciate the question. Lisa, thanks. Thanks for the badges.
Tommy on YouTube was the one that asked the question about
arresting
back.
Tommy,
yes.
Good question. When it came down to the bad cop thing, you ever locked up a bad cop? That's a good question, because a lot of people don't understand. There's procedures that prohibit officers from doing that. So that was a good question, because I see that all the time. Why the cop didn't just lock them up? That it don't work that way, and they designed it that way. I think they designed it that way to circumvent a lot of the problems of, oh, officers got arrested by another officer. You kind of keep it suppressed, keep it in. Departments love to keep it in house, so that's why I think the procedures is you report it, you investigate it, then it becomes an in-house issue that they try to handle. But can you imagine being on the scene and you see an officer putting cuffs on another officer? In the middle of that, it'd be national news. So I think they did that for a reason. Anybody else before we? I'm gonna let y'all go and finish enjoying your Sunday. But I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Police Brutality Matters. 100%. Thank you for bridging the gap between civilians and police. These talks are so important. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man, for the questions, because a lot of questions that the civilians, they have questions, and nobody's willing to give these answers. So that's why I'm here giving these answers.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so don't forget to go to our website, www.policebrutality.matters.com. And if you want to donate, you can click the link and it'll take you to our PayPal account to donate, where we have monthly food drives where we go purchase food from Costco and take it to homeless people that's out here in Atlanta, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a big homeless community out here that we're trying to take care and look out for. And we need your support, because we're not in the ends yet. So we give what we can, and it's a blessing. And the blessing becomes bigger when you guys help out with your donations.
Also, our YouTube channel, if you click the link in the bio, Police Brutality Matters, you'll be able to subscribe. That's where we do a lot of our lives shows. We also have We the People Are Pissed the F Off coming soon. Well, no, we actually had one.
Right, we had one last week. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And next week we're gonna have is white privilege real? Next week we're gonna have that conversation. We're gonna have a panel of people. And we're gonna be discussing, is white privilege real? And just get and I'm trying to diversify it. I'm trying to get different viewpoints, different opinions. And that's on a
We the People Are Pissed.
Yeah, We the People Are Pissed Off platform. But remember to check me out on Court TV every Monday at 9:30. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Police Brutality Matters. Thank you for your support. Like I tell you, we're out here. This is a big fight to try to correct this problem when it comes down to bad policing. And I get it. Understand something, right? The officer has the home court advantage on that side of the road. Officers now are getting terminated, they're getting suspended, they're getting charged, prosecuted, and convicted more now than you've ever seen in history. I'm saying all I have to say is don't push the envelope so bad that you become a hashtag and we're sitting here talking about your death that you encounter one of these bad officers. Take your fight to the courtroom. Please, people, take your fight to the courtroom. Stay alive and be safe. Love you guys. See you next time.